perhaps you were born for such a time as this. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Faith and Freedom. I'm Shemane Nugent. Today, we're going to take a closer look at what your tax dollars are up to, what's going on. We have heard that President Trump's big, beautiful bill is nearing completion, and we want to talk about that. We also want to talk about why there's a $22 billion spending amount going on 4-star housing for illegal immigrants in Minnesota. This doesn't make sense to me, but we're going to get into it. And I think that our next guest is going to shed some light on all of this. Congressman Ralph Norman, representing South Carolina's 5th district since 2017. He's here to discuss the state of our nation and this big, beautiful bill. Welcome, Congressman.
Well, Shemane, glad to be with you.
So, as I mentioned, Congress just passed this big, beautiful bill, and you backed it. And there are some good things in that bill. But on the other hand, there's a lot of things that people are worried about. For example, there's basically a get out of jail free card to AI, and it strips away healthcare oversight. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that's not the only things, Shemane. There are a lot of things that needed to be improved. What happened on this big, beautiful bill was that it had more good in it than it had bad. It had loopholes like the medical oversight. It had loopholes on funding for delaying funding for healthy Americans who choose not to work. We tried to get that out from day one. The same thing with illegals that should not be taking part of any payout from our government system because it's money we don't have. The 15 million that are over here have damaged this country beyond belief. That being said, the good part that is a first step, and I'll emphasize this is just a first step to get the House back to fiscal sanity. The 1.5 trillion, ending up 1.6 trillion in cuts is real. The fact that we're cutting a lot of the subsidies, the $7,000 car allowance to manufacturers of electric cars should have never been in there in the first place. The bottom line, we haven't unwound a lot of things that Biden did during his 4 years that is, quite frankly, is hard to do. I would ask your listeners a big vote. Probably one of the bigger ones that we've had while in Congress is the rescissions. That's unspent money that we have 45 days that President Trump identified, and Elon Musk did the heavy lifting to find what some of these giveaways were. Will be voted on probably next week to the tune of $9.4 billion. Now, that's a teardrop in the ocean, but it's just a first wave of rescissions that will help, if we can pass it, will help restore some fiscal sanity. And the things that it will astonish you, some of the money that goes to other countries, like the $3 million to Venezuela for sexual reproduction rights in Venezuela. You had the same thing in other countries. That's just ludicrous. The Sesame Street, 1.2 million Sesame Street production in Iraq. It's insane, but it's a first blush that I think will pay dividends for this country if we can get them. And what we did was the right course, particularly with the tax cuts, with the growth in the economy, and I'm excited that it passed. We held out as long as we could to get all that we could. We got the vote 215 to 214. Not one Democrat voted for this bill, and they're not going to. Anything that cuts spending. So all said, I'm excited about what the bill will do and what we'll do in the future.
You know, a lot of Americans feel like D.C. is just a giant money pit run by people who talk a lot and fix nothing. But we can't run our households like that. We can't be in constant debt. What can we do, and what can we look forward, what you're doing to right this wrong?
It boils back to people. You know, and I'll be honest with you, Shemane, a lot of people are going to have to be replaced if we can't, with reconciliation, which allows us to get by a Senate process with no filibuster, no 60-vote threshold, 50% plus one. if we can't get right the ship on with that package, and the only reason we have that is we control the House, the Senate, and the White House. The day that we have that again, it could come a long way from now. Hopefully, we'll get it done this time. And if we do nothing more, the remainder of this session, the 119th session, is cut, and make the congressman vote on it. And the public needs to be aware of how they vote, because a lot of it gets right back to Washington, D.C.
Yes. So let me ask you a hypothetical question. If you could pass one bill tomorrow where there's zero red tape, no drama, what would it be and why?
If I could pass one big bill, knowing what I know about the makeup of the House now, I would put a $10 trillion cut package together. I would start with 10 because that wouldn't hurt anything. We owe 38 trillion, but I would cut with 10 trillion. Every agency from the DOD to the Highway Trust Fund, all of them would have to find ways to cut. I would expand what Elon Musk has done, and he's done a tremendous, given this country a tremendous gift by identifying the waste, fraud, and abuse. And that's what President Trump wants to do. Now, to be honest with you, can we do it with the people that we have in Washington, D.C.? I don't know, but the first test is going to come with this first meager 9.4 trillion cut that you'll see in the decisions.
Okay, another hypothetical question. We are grateful to what DOGE has done, and Elon shining a spotlight on the cockroaches, so to speak. But a lot of Americans are thinking we don't want our tax dollars to go to, buying condoms in Gaza or some of the things that have been happening. Will we ever be able to skip a year and pay taxes, or have some of this money reimbursed to us that we never voted for?
It's going to take time. And you bear in mind, the interest that's accumulating is soon to be bigger than the national debt of $900 billion. So it's going to take time, but we can do it. I'm optimistic, but you've got to do it in trillions of dollars, not, 1.6 over 10 years isn't going to get it. But again, we've had 4 years of dismal governance by a party that was just out of control. And I would say the same thing for the Obama administration. But now it's our time. It's President Trump's time. And he showed courage to do what he's done so far. And, it's just going to take restraint on our side. I've never understood until I got up here. Every dollar that's spent in D.C. has got an advocate. The other thing I will tell you is when you give people something, as we do on Medicaid, which has grown 51% in 3 years since 2019, when you give somebody something and where that person has no skin in the game, it's hard to take it back. And you're going to see a lot of hue and cry over the cuts that are made on this bill. But I will tell you, it's meager to begin with, but I think it will expand. And I think this president is the first one in a long time that has the courage to take the criticism, as Elon Musk and President Trump have, to do the right thing.
I've got less than a minute, but there seems to be a little rift with Elon now. Is he upset? Is he going to be coming back?
I think what we hear, he's upset about some of the electric vehicles that he's got a vested interest in. He's upset about not turning out the way he was. But no, Elon is a friend. We could never find another man that's capable of doing what he's done. And he will go down as a great American that did great things for this country.
Now, I live in Central Texas, and I just have one bone to pick. He is testing these rocket engines, and we can feel our houses rattle. So talk to Elon about that. Nobody likes it here. Congressman Norman, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. God bless.
My honor. Thank you.
Don't go away, everybody. We've got a lot more coming up, but I want you to take a look at this. Our friend Mike Lindell is under attack, and he needs your prayers and support. Take a look.
I'm pointing to Mike Lindell. That man suffered. That man suffered. The FBI thugs went up to him and they took away everything he had. He suffered. And Mrs. Lindell.
Then you guys come up and serve me papers in Colorado. What is this? Sir, what is this?
My pillow guy Mike Lindell says the lawsuit is a sham.
How dare him come and sue my pillow?
They went after him. It was just terrible. This was a vicious weaponization of your government. But I'll tell you, he stood up. He's all man. He stood up strong.
Do I think you guys and them are a traitor to our country by what you did to my bill? Yes. We are made in America.
Lindell says he's lost hundreds of millions of dollars.
And nothing was going to faze him. And I want to thank you.
Relish the opportunity to be an outsider because it's the outsiders who change the world.
Perhaps you were born for such a time as this. If there's one thing that most Americans agree on, it's that the federal government wastes a heck of a lot of money. But what if there was a real effort to track it and expose it and fix it? The Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE, is bringing transparency and accountability back to Washington. Finally, thank you, Elon. Joining me now is Dr. E.J. Antoni, Chief Economist, and Richard Astor Fellow from the Grover M. Herman Center for the Federal Budget. Welcome, Dr. Antoni.
Well, thank you for having me.
So let's talk about DOGE and long-term benefits. DOGE uncovered $22 billion that was spent on resettlement programs for illegal immigrants. And that's housing and cash and even cars. And then we're just finding out that in Minnesota, some Somalian migrants who actually escaped Somalia because it was so dangerous there, they sought asylum in the United States, and then apparently they go back to Somalia every year to vacation while taxpayers continue to foot the bill. That's not right.
Oh, I'd say that's an understatement. It's also because of DOGE that we found out the whole process for retiring a government employee involves carrying physical files down a mine shaft in Pennsylvania to an underground facility where all of the paperwork is processed by hand and nothing was digitized. That's not an exaggeration. It's like something out of a movie, and yet that's what was happening. It's also because of DOGE that we found out there were tons of people aged 150 or older in the Social Security system who were not yet marked as deceased. And so that allowed for checks to continue being sent out in those folks' names. I mean, it's absolutely staggering. Day after day, DOGE has been publishing all kinds of abuse, of corruption, of fraud and waste throughout the government. And it's absolutely imperative that their work continues. And I'm very happy to see that even after Elon Musk's departure, it looks like he has put in a phenomenal team who is going to continue that good work, again, even after he's gone.
We all applaud Elon and DOGE because they did do some amazing work, but it blows my mind really to think that anybody would oppose that. Do you ever run into people in Washington or surrounding, just even family and friends that go, no, I think it's a good idea for somebody to walk downstairs with a bunch of paperwork and all the things that DOGE has uncovered?
Well, absolutely. I run into it constantly. I actually live in the greater DC area, and I have to travel relatively close to a Tesla dealership. And every weekend, there's a massive anti-DOGE protest outside of these things. And it's absolutely astonishing because when you talk to these people, they can't point to a single thing that's true, at least, that DOGE has cut that they don't support. In other words, they come up with absolute nonsense, things that DOGE has never done, or they just tell outright lies. Whatever the case may be, the fact is the work DOGE is doing is phenomenal. And it doesn't matter which side of the political spectrum, which side of the aisle you find yourself on, you should be supportive of their efforts. And again, the fact that no Democrat in Congress has yet been able to point to a single thing, a single cut DOGE has made that is not a good thing for the American people, for the American taxpayer, I'm sorry, that tells you everything you need to know. Why on earth earth would it be bad, going back to the last example, to remove a single deceased person from the Social Security system? Why would that be bad? Even if you love Social Security, even if you think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, which some of these Democrats believe, you should be happy that you are removing illegitimate payments from the system. That's prolonging the solvency of the Social Security Trust Fund. It's ensuring legitimate beneficiaries will continue getting their check. Again, who could possibly object to removing corruption or fraud?
But as you said, you do run into people who are like that. What is their reasoning behind this? I mean, we've got the Air Force dropped nearly $2 million on holistic DEI training, and the DOD spent another $80 million on similar programs. So how do they square that?
Well, they can't. When you talk to these people, it's clear typically that they're not in their right mind. And I don't say that lightly. That's not a joke. I'm not trying to belittle them. There clearly seems to be something wrong with these folks, at least the ones that I've spoken to. All they can do are utter slogans about Elon being a Nazi or Trump being a Nazi. Meanwhile, they don't know anything about the Nazis or what they stood for or that they were socialists, you name it. These people clearly are not well. And they have I think they've just been lied to so many times over and over again by the mainstream media. They absorb the nonsense from CNN or MSNBC or a whole host of other liberal news outlets, and they have believed all this nonsense. I mean, these are the same kinds of lies that got these people to believe that Elon and DOGE are Nazis. They're the same lies that convinced people to try to assassinate President Trump during the campaign. Yes. Again, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here. I'm just trying to tell you the truth. It's garbage in, garbage out. When you listen to lies all day long, that's what you start to believe. Absolutely.
It's like Trump derangement syndrome, only Elon Musk derangement syndrome. They loved President Trump before he was president. When he came down those escalators, everything changed. And now all of a sudden people on the left don't like him. Mainstream media doesn't like him. Same thing with Elon. Everybody loved Teslas. Now they're burning down dealerships.
Exactly. And again, Tesla, the electric car, this was something that the left supposedly loved, right? They love the environment. They love their electric cars. And all of a sudden, because Elon happens to do something they don't like, or they're told that they don't like what Elon's doing, I guess, now all of a sudden we need to not just protest, but we need to burn down his facilities. We need to vandalize people's private property. I mean, again, these people are genuinely sick in the head. They need psychological help. Maybe even spiritual help, because there has to be something wrong in your head when you think it's okay to vandalize other people's property simply because they have a political disagreement with you. There's something wrong with you when you think it's okay to firebomb a building or firebomb vehicles when there could very well be, and sometimes have been, people inside either those buildings or those vehicles. At what point did you think a simple political disagreement was enough for you to hurt other people, to damage other people's property, and then also hurt, potentially kill other people? There's no other explanation than you can't be in your right mind to do those things.
And the American people are fed up because we've got 22 veterans a day, it might be more now, committing suicide. They're not getting adequate care. And yet we're spending $11 million to produce a Middle Eastern version of Sesame Street in Iraq. It just doesn't make sense. Thank goodness to DOGE and tracking this down. But what recourse is there for the American public?
Well, look, sunlight is the best disinfectant. The real, I think the best work that DOGE has done, the real miracle here has been the fact that they are shedding light, and lots of light, upon all these different things in the budget, the federal budget, that folks never knew were there. And it's not until people have that knowledge, remember, knowledge is power. It's not until people have that knowledge that they can be outraged about it, about what's being done with their tax dollars, ostensibly in their name to benefit them. Armed with that knowledge, you can go to your elected representatives and make it clear, look, if you do do not remove this abuse, this corruption, this fraud, this waste, if you stand by and let this continue, I will vote against you in the primary. I will vote against you in the general. I think it's going to take that kind of grassroots uprising to really make this happen.
You know, Americans have just been too apathetic. 50% of hunters didn't vote. 50% of Christians hadn't voted in the past. And now we can't take a back seat to this anymore. We have to stand up. I end my show with Esther 4:14. If you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance will come from somewhere else, but you and your father's house may perish. You were made for such a time as this. And I think about that every time I do this show. And of course, at the end, and I think about how blessed we are to have President Trump and to have DOGE and people like you who are spotlighting this waste and corruption. So EJ, thank you so much. I appreciate it. How can people find you?
Oh, best place to find me is going to be on Twitter or X, and the handle there is @RealEJ And thank you so much for having me today.
Well, thank you for being here. God bless you. And I hope you can come back again soon.
That'd be my pleasure. Thank you again.
You know, we have got to do our part. Just like I was saying, we can't sit back and let somebody else take over. And I was just thinking about it takes so much for me to maintain my health. It seems like I'm just struggling. You know, some days are great, some weeks and months are great. But if you're feeling that way, if you're struggling to get healthy, I want to share with you one simple thing that I do. Because I'll be honest with you, I look at my vitamin cabinet and I'm like, there's so much. But one simple thing that you can do is take a scoop of Field of Greens. It's fruits and vegetables in a doctor-formulated powder once a day in your water. And I'm telling you, you can feel it. Your energy improves, your immune system gets stronger. And guess what? Your doctor is going to notice too. And your doctor is probably going to say, hey, what are you doing? I want some of that. So go to fieldofgreens.com and use the promo code FAITH, promo code is FREEDOM, fieldofgreens.com, and use my code to get a discount. It's FREEDOM. Don't go away, everyone. We'll be right back.
Relish the opportunity to be an outsider because it's the outsiders who change the world.
Perhaps you were born for such a time as this. Hey, Ted, you know, we are lucky because we live off the land.
Venison.
And we hunt. We are bow hunters, but not everybody can. And I don't know how you feel about this, but we don't like to buy meat from the store. We don't want to encourage anybody to buy meat from the store.
It's unsafe.
It's unsafe. It's got antibiotics, chemicals, mRNA in it. But we did find this beef that is freaking amazing.
I'm not a big fan of beef, but I've become a big fan of beef. It's the best we've ever had.
It is. And if you
What's it called?
Switch to them, go for the beef with never ever label. But if you really want to go, I'm looking at Coco in the back. If you really want to try it, check out Switch to America with Shemane. What's that?
Switch to America with Shemane. I switched to America with shemane.com. Switch to America with shemane.com. The best beef, the most delicious, the healthiest beef in the world.
We love it, and we know you will too. You know, 4th of July is right around the corner, and you've heard me talk about Switch to America with Shemane beef before, and I'm not kidding. It's amazing. I have one ribeye thawing, and I'm thinking about pulling out another one because Ted and I don't like to share. No, we do, but it's great. Go to Switch to America with shemane.com, and they've got some specials. Support American-made products. Don't miss it out, especially barbecuing. Okay, my next guest is a woman of faith, a tireless advocate for our nation's heroes, and someone I'm honored to call a friend. Sara Hodge is the founder of the Freedom Isn't Free Foundation, where she's making sure our veterans aren't forgotten and that the sacrifices are never taken for granted. Sara, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Shemane. It's great to be back and great to see you, my friend. Even though we speak often, I'm so happy to be back with you.
I know you're one of those people where sometimes we don't talk for a while and then we catch up. And I love your, not only your happy demeanor, but what you've done with your company. And, we say freedom isn't free, but sometimes people forget just how
It's so
true
true.
that is. What inspired you to start your foundation?
Thank you. Well, as you know, I've always been very patriotic like you, always appreciated our troops like you and your husband. And I got the call down to Camp Pendleton one day to support baby shower efforts. And every time I go to base, I notice more and more kind of unspoken needs. Now, our troops, they're incredible. They would never openly ask or say, we need this or that, but I was able to really see things. For example, I went down to base and several of the babies of the couples and families there weren't able to go to just basic childcare because they didn't have enough diapers, which are very, very expensive. You have to have a diaper per hour for the change for childcare, very expensive. So we built a diaper bank on base to help solve that problem. It's actually still moving and shaking today so that these families could have, at no cost to them, diapers if needed. And one thing led to another, and it really became this great opportunity to show up and serve. What we do now is we're doing deployment send-offs and welcome homes. We're doing holiday pancake breakfast, Christmas with Santa for our troops and their families. We recently sent off hundreds and hundreds of Marines to their deployment overseas. And we were there in the middle of the night because these are long days of checking in, checking out, weigh-ins, saying goodbye to their loved ones. And we have the humble honor of being the last civilians with them. And we bring breakfast, hot coffee, protein, and drinks that they can stuff in their pockets for the long journey ahead. So I was really inspired. I answered the call and I was so humbled and so grateful. But every time we go on base, we see more ways that we can serve our troops. They're busy working tirelessly and, there's just not a ton of income allotted to them and their families are making incredible sacrifices. So while they are focused on their tactical job at hand, there is a great opportunity for us to serve them.
I love that. Years ago, I took my son's high school class to Fort Hood and I got involved with the Gold Star wives and moms. And I said, use me, pick me. What can I do to help? And they said, well, we're having a homecoming. You could be a hugger. And I said, well, what does that entail? Tell me about that. And they said, well, just like what you said, you're the last person sometimes these troops see before they leave. And sometimes troops go to Fort Hood or whatever base, and it's the first time they touch American soil, and their families might be in another state and they couldn't make it there. So I said, well, how do I know who these are? And they said, you'll know. And so it was just an amazing day. But thank you for what you're doing, Sara. A lot of people don't realize that veterans struggle with invisible wounds. And the system, unfortunately, fails them. How has faith played a role in all of this for you? I know you're very faith-filled.
Thank you so much. I do consider our nonprofit Freedom Isn't Free Foundation really a ministry in the sense that we try to be the hands and feet of Jesus and meet immediate needs. Faith is a huge part of what we do because we might not be out there offering a specific Bible study as they're deploying, but we are praying over these men and women. Every time I go on base, I try and think not just for the people that we're serving that day, but how can we cover all of these families in prayer? How can we show up and offer something? There are so many amazing organizations, but how can we do it in a way that honors the Lord, honors these families and their incredible sacrifice, and really stays with them through this journey so that they're not alone? You mentioned invisible wounds. When they come home from deployment, it is awesome. We want to see every troop brought home safely. And sometimes that reunification is difficult. There are so many unspoken things. And we want to be a place of solace also for these families where they can come privately and ask for prayer. If they're struggling with, my spouse just came home from deployment and it feels like I have a roommate and not a spouse. Can you please pray for us through this season? Absolutely. Or if we find unmet needs, I actually rely a lot on faith, and I just bring those needs to our donors or my audience online on Instagram. And I share confidentially that there's an urgent need for a family on base. And I trust that the Lord is going to make it happen. And so far, every single time, every single goal that we've tried to reach for our troops or our first responders, it has been met. So we step out in faith and we try to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And of course, try to honor him, honor the Lord in what we do there too.
And you have quite a story. Tell us, I got about 2 minutes left. Tell us a little bit about how this all started for you.
Oh, thank you. Well, during pandemic, as I say, I actually lost my corporate sales job. I was at home in lockdown with my 2 very young kids at the time and had to start something from home, had to get it going. And I knew right from the get-go, it was during all of the protests, remember BLM protests and George Floyd and everything that was happening and the masking and all that. And I said, not for my family and me. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord and we'll proclaim it boldly. We won't live in fear. And so I started American Freedom Company from inside my house with our patriotic clothing, our faith-based clothing. I mean, you and I have shared that Faith and Freedom t-shirt. And I started working those things from home to provide for my family. And God really blessed that. From that, the support for our troops started. And that's where, they knew to call me and say, hey, could you help out with this project on base? And it really grew from there, just following the Lord, I would say.
And we've got to make more of those Faith and Freedom t-shirts, because I'm telling you, it's my favorite t-shirt. It is so soft. And I love the message behind it. I think more and more people want to put their money where their thoughts and prayers are, and supporting this country and supporting what you do. Sara, you're an Esther. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for being bold and brave. How can people find you on social media, and what's your website?
Thank you. We have freedomisn'tfreefoundation.org to help our troops and first responders, and AmericanFreedomCo.com to support my small business. I would love to do those t-shirts, so I'm so happy we can share that with your audience, and I will follow up with you and your team about that. Thank you, Shemane.
All right, tell us, I've got 1 more minute left. Tell us, what is a specific need that veterans need right now that you're seeing when you go on base?
Thank you so much. Right now, there's a specific need. There is a very, very small budget. And when I say small, I'm talking a few dollars per quarter per troop for these morale boosting events, to provide food and basic things at their family events. So they really need that kind of support. If you can give, please find our website and do that. And if it's not a time to give, prayer, if you could pray that these opportunities would continue to show up at our doorstep as they have been, so that we can meet the troops where they're at and help fulfill some of those needs that they have. Like I mentioned to you, just the food, the snacks, the toiletries, the deployment care packages, the baby showers, and things like that. Thank you.
You and I have talked before about how patriotism, it's not political. And we all need to get involved. I mentioned this with one of my other guests that, unfortunately, 50% of Christians have not voted. And now we're seeing the result of that. Thank goodness President Trump is back. But it took us going down in the dumps in this previous administration, all of the incredible things that have happened. But what you're doing, Sara, is so faith-filled. I know God just has you in his arms. He's got his wings around you to protect you and what you're doing. And I've seen your business grow. So thank you so much, Sara, for being here. God bless you. And I hope everybody goes and buys a t-shirt today.
Thank you. We would love that. Thank you, Shemane, and God bless you too. I'm so grateful and honored to be here. Thank you for what you're doing to continue to spread the message of faith and patriotism. You're right. It is apolitical, and you're right. We need to vote as Christians, as believers in Christ, and vote with our biblical values.
God bless you. Thank you so much, Sara. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Shemane. Okay.
We'll be right back, everyone. Don't go away.
Relish the opportunity to be an outsider, because it's the outsiders who change the world.
Perhaps you were born for such a time as this. After being kicked out of 2 ERs while battling heart failure, Jordan Clark turned his pain into purpose, becoming a health coach, a truth teller, and an advocate for financial freedom through crypto. Jordan Clark, welcome.
Hello, Shemane. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. So you're battling heart failure with just 8% function and then got kicked out of 2 ERs for refusing a COVID test. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, my life changed back in 2022, 2023. I was 33 years old, and my heart slowly started just giving out over a matter of 7 days. To where it was literally working at about 8%. And in that meantime, I went to, obviously we turned to the hospitals, people that we trust. And I went to a few ER rooms, and the first ER I was kicked out of after multiple things they did. They wanted me to do a COVID test, and I refused. And they sent me home saying there was nothing they could do since I went against their medical advice. And then the second ER the next day did the same thing. Thankfully, Lord willing, I found a third hospital there. But it just goes to show that, what was going on, it was really happening. And it was very eye-opening, to actually have it happen to you. But, looking back now, God always gives us a testimony. So.
Well, I love your story, but you've turned that trauma into purpose. Now you're coaching others to take control of their health. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people making as far as health and wellness?
Oh, the biggest mistakes, I would say, actually, yes. So the doctors told me I would never be able to work out again, and that did not sit well with me. So I actually immediately, getting out of the hospital, started my certification process to be a certified trainer. And I told them, I said, I'm going to work out and I'm going to help others work out at the same time. So I got certified, thanks to the Lord, about 6 months after. But I would say the biggest mistake that's happening is definitely our diet, and just people not being active enough. I tell people you don't have to work out, but just be active. And the most important thing, I think you can agree with this, is the things that we're putting into our bodies. All the horrible foods that are coming out through, RFK, exposing all the different chemicals and dyes and things that are destroying our bodies internally. And the heart is taking a toll, not only from that, but stress. So when I tell people, yes, working out's important, diet's important, but your mental health is so important, because a lot of these issues that we're having are coming from, I always like to say, the matrix. People are so stressed out and overthinking, overwhelmed, that the heart is taking a toll. And if you don't know how to handle those things, and I like to say, give it to God, your body's going to break down. So yes, be active. Definitely watch your diet, stick to organic foods, make sure there's no mRNA in your meats, stuff like that. But also just take care of yourself mentally. Pray and take some time to let your body heal. And that means your mind as well.
Well, you mentioned overwhelm. You've also been raising awareness about crypto and why it matters. Talk a little bit about that, because I need a lesson.
I really started realizing that we are living under I like to call it a slave system. I started doing a lot of reading in books about 6 months ago, and I read about how, so much of this stuff with the Federal Reserve, in our money, and obviously losing a lot of the value when we lost our gold. And you can tell that we're going into there's a new system being implemented, and things are happening. Trump has talked about, he wants to make this the crypto capital, as in the USA, the crypto capital of the world. And I got into crypto about 6 years ago through divine intervention, as in I purchased my first coin and did all that stuff. But it's very obvious to see that the old SWIFT fiat system is kind of outdated, I guess. And we are moving into a faster world where we need faster, transactions. And most of all, we shouldn't be, charge fees and stuff on these transactions. These banks and stuff are just destroying people. And we all kind of see that now, but Trump's really exposing it. So I started a huge crypto community back in February. I was getting so many questions, kind of like with yourself. And I said, man, I got to start like a community where we can help people learn crypto from the very basics of, just investing, how to do it, all the way up to if people want to do trading and portfolio growth. So we made this community that has over 620 people in it called the Crypto Collective on School. School is a learning platform. Anyone can join. But
and it's spelled SKOOL, right?
Yep, SKOOL. Yep, and it's very popular for like businesses that use it to train their employees. And there's a lot of different actual like learning things on School, not just money. But so we started this platform and it took off, and I charge $17 a month for something that's probably well worth $400, $500 a month. And the reason I did that is because of Q being 17. But I don't want people to get scammed. And right now there's so many people getting scammed from fake QFS stuff and people telling hey, invest in this. And I just wanted to create something where people can feel secure, and it's a family type atmosphere, and you learn at your own pace. That's the coolest thing about it. So I know you're in there. I don't know if you got started yet.
I haven't, Jordan. I need to, but you're right. You've got videos and instructions, and there's like other people. I joined and all these people are welcoming me, but I do have to set aside some time. Okay, I got about a minute left. This is a challenge for you because I was telling my husband about this. He goes, "What's a Bitcoin? Give it to me in my hand. Show me it." So how do you explain what Bitcoin is?
Bitcoin, well, so you have, I was that way too. Like I physically can't have these coins. I don't understand it. So actually, I kind of want to flip that and say this. If you're going to invest in anything out there, invest in silver and gold, but also crypto, because there's going to be a mutual understanding with the two here down the road and how they come together. But remember, crypto technology is fast, and this is going to allow us to have, like I said, faster transactions, and coins will be digital, but backed by gold and silver and other precious metals. So to answer his question, is it a physical coin? No.
Oh.
But does it have value? I would say there's some other coins out there better than Bitcoin.
Well, Jordan, you're going to have to come back and break it all down for us even further. So will you do that sometime?
Absolutely. Yes. And I'd love to come on anytime. And, like I said, this is all glory to God. You're amazing. What you're doing is amazing. And we just need to help people understand that there's an enemy out there, and he is relentless in attacking. But if we stay strong in our faith and prayer, we know who wins.
I agree. Jordan, where can people find you?
You guys, all my information, all my official social accounts, everything from our Crypto Collective family is on jordanclark.info, jordanclark.info. And once you guys go there, you'll see all the links to the social media and don't get scammed by fake accounts, please. It's happening like crazy, but you know how that goes. Once you scroll down a little bit more on that page, you'll see the Crypto Collective group popping out at you. So if you guys are interested in learning more on crypto, we'd love to have you. And again, it's a huge family. And Shemane, I'm sure everyone's in there dying to talk to you. So good luck.
Well, I'll be in there soon. Jordan, thank you so much for joining me. God bless.
God bless. Thank you.
Jordan brought up fear, and we have a lot of fears going around today. Fear of what's in the sky, what's in our food, and what's in our water. But things are different, and it's not like they used to be. There are pharmaceutical drugs and mRNA and volatile organic compounds in our water. But I found something that's helped my family and me take back control, so we feel more confident. Century Wellness System. It filters out harmful chemicals and infuses your water with essential minerals, restoring purity and health from the inside out. It's cleaner and safer, and It's way cheaper than buying plastic water bottles that end up in a landfill anyway. So go to SentryH2O.com and use my code HEALTHY10 for a discount. That's SentryH2O.com, and the promo code is HEALTHY10. We're almost to the end of the show, but we can't forget one more thing. Take a look. Woohoo! My producer, Rodney, probably knows when I can't sleep because I send him these funny pet videos at all hours of the day and night, even on weekends. So thank you for putting up with that. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you want to reach out to me, send me your funny pet videos. You can go to shemane.chat@gmail.com. That's shemane.chat@gmail.com. I'd also love for you to check out my books. I just came out with a new one in January called Abundantly Well, and also my book called Killer House. Both of them are available on Amazon, and you can also visit shemanenugent.rocks for resources that you're not going to find anywhere else. I'm also on Instagram, and sometimes I post some silly dancing videos, just having fun. And that's why I end the show with funny pet videos, because you got to have fun. Fear and stress can eat away at you. So visit me on Instagram, watch my funny videos, and Facebook and X and Rumble and YouTube. And that I post a lot of faith and fitness inspiration as well. I usually go live once a week on Facebook and Rumble answering your questions, and I'd love to see you there. Don't forget Esther 4:14, you were born for such a time as this. God bless. I'll see you next week.
Relish the opportunity to be an outsider, because it's the outsiders who change the world.
Perhaps you were born for such a time as this.